Today is the start of a whole series on Dhamma. Last week, we talked about the Buddha. Buddha as a core essence of the Triple Gems. Today, we're going to talk about Dhamma. In fact, following today, there will be many lectures on Dhamma, right up to probably the last two when we will cover Sangha. Okay? Now, I have titled today's talk, Dhamma Journey. And what I mean is this. We are going to ask ourselves, what is this Dhamma? When we talk about Dhamma, what is Dhamma? And I say it's a journey. And the reason why I call it a journey is because the process of understanding the mind, understanding yourself, that process is truly like a journey of self-discovery. And then the question is, what's the destination? And we talk about Dhamma. Where are we supposed to be going with this Dhamma? And how are we supposed to be doing that? Okay? First, let's do some definition. We say this all the time. Dhamma, the Buddha's Dhamma. We're going to study the Dhamma. We do that all the time. Do we really know what it is? I once asked a group of Dhamma friends, I actually asked a whole group of Dhamma friends, I said, if I want to ask you to crunch it, what is Dhamma? What would you say? Do you know I have like 10 answers? And the odds are, if I throw this question at this forum, I'm going to have 60 answers, because 40 of you won't answer. I'll have about 60 versions of Dhamma. Okay, let's look at what they are. First, you see, the word Dhamma is a very old word, very, very old, used in the time of Buddha. You don't have this word in your vocabulary. You don't have it. This word is, well, you will call it loosely Pali, but actually it's possibly Magadhi. It's an old ancient word. There is a generic meaning. There is a generic meaning. Meaning to say, you take that word and there is a generally understood meaning. It could mean philosophy. Your understanding of the word philosophy. A way of seeing things, a way of understanding things. You ask questions, what is this, what is that? A doctrine. The idea of a school of thought. Buddha's time, they also used it to mean nature's law. So, you know, like what we do, we say, it's nature. Dhamma. Get it? When we say it's nature, nature's like that. Dhamma's like that. It's nature's law. Okay? So it's a noun. Law, nature, two different things. The law of nature and nature in itself are two different words. But either or, in the time Buddha, can use the word Dhamma. The word righteousness. When something is good, something is correct, something that should be pursued, we also call it Dhamma. So, righteousness, what is good? What is Dhamma? Okay? Many meaning. But the one that you are most familiar with, probably, is this one. You see the word Dhamma and you think of the Buddha. Today, when we use this word Dhamma, you automatically assume Theravada Buddhist. Why? Because Mahayana Buddhist, Vajrayana Buddhist, you will use the word? I never heard of. Dharma, same. Dharma, Dhamma, same. Okay? Now, the problem is this word Dhamma. What do we mean by it? How do we characterize it in a nutshell? And in a nutshell, if you were ever asked, what is Dhamma? Your answer should be, Buddha taught that there is dukkha in the world, but there is a way to fix the dukkha. Let me now explain two words, two things. Dukkha and fixing dukkha. How would you translate the word dukkha? What do you understand by the word dukkha? Lovely whisper you have. What is dukkha? Unsatisfactoriness, yes. What else? Suffering. What else? How come so different one? Unsatisfactoriness is like not quite suffering. Suffering is suffering. You don't actually say it lightly, you should just say suffering. You see, the word dukkha in Pali actually means difficult to bear. That's all it means. It doesn't translate naturally into the word suffering. But translators over the years decided they needed something punchier, you see. So they threw in this word suffering and then it got stuck. But actually, dukkha is not just about suffering. Suffering is too strong. Most time, you don't suffer, right? Most time you would say, I am in a state of busong. Meaning not feeling good, right? I have to talk to the camera a bit. I'm in a state of boshok, right? Isn't it? Why then do we say we don't feel great? There's some element of not so good, but that's not suffering. And that's the reason why when you look at the Buddha's Dhamma and you hear the word suffering, and half the world will turn away and the other half will say, it's not happening to me. And they say that it's not directly relevant maybe. But it's wrong. Because if you were to understand the very word dukkha, you will say that it actually applies to you. At any one time, if you were to look into your mind, at any one time, your mind has dukkha. I can tell you that. The only time your mind doesn't have dukkha, or the only times your mind doesn't have dukkha, is one is asleep. Even then, in your dream, you may be having dukkha. Nightmare. Also not shook inside dream. Things you want, then all turn to dust as you hold them. Dukkha. And the second time you are not having dukkha is when you're in meditation, or you are in practice, and your mind is quiet enough. Otherwise, the odds are your mind has some element of dukkha. So what is this dukkha? It's actually a spectrum of negative sensations, mental sensations, a spectrum of them, ranging from the mildest, I don't feel good. I just don't feel good. From that angle, to a very intense suffering. You are dying from the suffering. You would rather die from the suffering. Okay? The entire spectrum is called dukkha. So why do I make this claim that at any one time you are likely to be experiencing some amount of dukkha? Let me ask you this. We can do a survey where I expect answers. No frozen shoulders. Okay? Now let me ask you this. At any one time, right? Suppose, let's say you have nothing to do. Okay? Nothing to do. Now you just sit quietly. Don't meditate. You just sit quietly, right? What are you liable to do? What are you likely to do? How many of you will check handphone? How many of you will check iPad? Or whatever. Samsung. Okay, just in case then they get personal. How many of you would look for food? Find a friend to chat. Check out your Facebook and like. Bad mood, unlike. There's no unlike, huh? How many of you would actually do things? Seriously. Call a friend. How many would? Who would actually sit there and do nothing? No? No one? Why? Depending on the mood, some of you will go and sleep, right? The point is, if you were to sit quietly and do nothing, you will die. Straight away, you will look for something to do, including looking for a book to read. How many of you would do nothing, and do nothing? No, you will not do nothing. You will do something. Anything. And why is that so? Why is it you can't keep quiet, do nothing? Why you never practice what you preach to your 2-year-old kid? Shh, sit down, do nothing, just quiet. Why you can't? Because our mind is naturally disturbed, shaky, constantly seeking and hunting. That's a built-in instinct in the mind. It's programmed to protect you. It's programmed to keep you alive and keep you healthy. You want to do things to promote your welfare. That's the nature of the mind. The instincts are there. So when the Buddha said, there is dukkha, he meant the nature of your mind is such that you will always experience an element of bosong. Dukkha, an element of that. But, you see, he was describing, you must understand, he was actually merely describing a state of mind. When he said there is dukkha, he was only describing a state of mind. He wasn't telling you something you don't already know. You should, if your mind is sharp enough, you should have caught it. But our minds are not like his mind, so we don't catch it. Why? Because unlike him, who was staring at his mind, we were chasing after things outside to satisfy our crankiness. So we don't see it. If Buddha had just stopped with, there is dukkha, end of story, nothing to say. No Dhamma, no Buddha, nothing. But he went on to this part that says, but we can fix it. This sense of dukkha can recede, it can go away, it can be pacified, it can dissipate. It's because of this phrase, this promise, this assurance, it's because of this that there is Dhamma. Without the second half, that we can fix this problem, there is no Dhamma. I mean, if I say there is the sun, you are all going to worship the sun? No, what? But I say the sun gives you life. That is worth worshipping, you know what I mean? There has to be a promise after stating what is a fact. So, he said we can fix it, and here is how we can do it. Therefore, the Buddha's Dhamma is a practical solution to a real problem. Dhamma is not an idea, it's not a concept, it's not an ideal. It is a solution. It is describing that we have a problem, and it is telling us how we can resolve the problem. Okay? Then the question we have to ask ourselves, and the question I have to ask all of you, is, do you agree? The question is not, dare you agree? The question is, do you agree? Do you agree with the Buddha that our mind in a neutral gear is in a state of dukkha, and that we need to be able to, and we should try and fix it? Do we really think that the mind can be fixed? Faith. When we talk about faith, it's a big word in Dhamma, which we're going to explore at length 2 weeks from now. The word faith is actually faith that he knew what he was talking about, and he has a method that works, and that we can do it. That's the faith. So, do we agree with him that there's dukkha? That is commonplace? and that it's possible to fix this problem, and we can do it. What's the point of, I believe in the Buddha, I agree that it can work, but it doesn't work for me? Did you realize how weird that statement is? If we were to go on happily going, it can work, but maybe not for me lah. Why false modesty, seriously, at this point? Then the question is, why is there dukkha to begin with? Why is it that our mind has that problem? Is it biological, built in, or is there something more? Okay. Buddha talked about the origin of dukkha. In other words, why is there your problem, this problem? And the problem, and the reason is, he said, because inherent in you is this sense of craving. Craving for material sensations and gratifications, and for mental and existential experiences. In Pali, the words used were kamatanha for material gratifications, and then you have bhavatanha and vibhavatanha. Bhava is being alive. Vibhava has been translated as not wanting to be alive. But I will give it a slightly modified spin. You see, if you look at your own mind on a natural basis, on just day-to-day basis, you find yourself chasing after something you like to eat, something you wish to hear, some music, some taste, some sight. That's just one version of it. And what else do you have? You will have people you like, so you want to spend time with the people you like. People you don't like, what do? Don't want to spend time with them. I mean, seriously, how many of you would sacrifice yourself whole day for someone you really don't like? You spend time all the time. No, you won't. You're going to say no. So that spending time with people, having experiences, those are mental experiences. Enjoying the sense bases, having your sight satisfied, your sound organ satisfied, taste, touch, wearing something nice, enjoying nice food, etc. Those are the kamatanha. Any kind of craving pertaining to sense delight. You understand that? So you have one series of craving that deals with what you enjoy doing, tasting, touching, hearing, and so on, your sense bases. And then there is another lot that deals with the mind. The mind. Sometimes it's a bit blended. I mean, look, you like to be with somebody. Obviously, the fella is alive and standing and sitting right next to you. So there's a visual delight. There is an audio delight. But it is also the mental delight. Being with the person gives you a sense of pleasure, peace, bliss, whatever. Sometimes you get a bit of a scolding for whatever reason. And because you had a bit of a scolding, you don't want to repeat that experience. To me, that is vibhavatanha. I don't want to experience it again. I don't want to think about it. And what are the odds? You will think about it. Someone call you name, you don't like it, but you remember. And then in the quiet moment, when you are doing nothing very special, you suddenly remember. And then you tell yourself, I don't want to think about it, then you remember. I don't want to think about it, you remember. I don't think about it, I will remember. You see what I'm saying? Or you say, or someone tells you, you look very nice today. Then what do? I'm going to repeat how many times I think I'm nice. So that's bhava. So it's just like that. What's driving these things? You're delighting in them. You delighting in them or not. When you don't delight in something, you don't want it. When you delight in something, you want to repeat it. It's like that. That is the nature of our mind, isn't it? Was it built in? No, it's just the way we are. We have this habit. So because of that, we will then have again and again. So you have to understand this connection. It's a proportionate connection. And the proportionate connection is the more you want something, the more it is going to bring you dukkha. From now on, I'm just using the word dukkha. I'm not going to stumble over unsatisfactoriness or suffering. It's just going to be dukkha, okay? The more you want something, the more you will experience dukkha. The more intense is your experience of dukkha. Same thing. If you are able to reduce the amount of wanting, preferencing, so some of you may say, I don't have craving one. Okay, that's kind of lack of self-awareness, but it's okay. You say, I have no craving. It is a lack of self-awareness if you think you have no craving, but it's okay. You know, not all of us have self-awareness, right? So I understand. Do you have preferences? You reduce it down to preferences. And that is easier to stomach that you have preferences. Craving is just too rough, right? You don't have craving. But you have preferences. It's so much more refined, you know? So you say, I prefer this to that. That, just by that alone, there will be dukkha. Okay? Just by that alone. You don't believe it? You just think about it. You go into a hawker center intending to check out your char kway teow, right? So you go straight for the store. It's closed. The next one is open. I don't want. Why? Because he doesn't use pot lard. The other one got lard. This one got no lard. I don't want. Preferences, what? Craving is the same, but it's just minor preferences. Already very dukkha. Huh? It's just like that. Okay. Now, Buddha said, this is where, up until here, he is not telling you something you don't already know. You may not realize it, but you are experiencing it. It's the next one. He tells you this craving, and therefore the dukkha can cease. You look at the way it's written. It's not written like this. Dukkha can cease. It's written as craving. Craving can cease. It's because craving is a verb. It's a choice. It's something you can control. You control craving, you contain dukkha. You understand? So it is the craving that you have to work on. All this talk about trying to help another resolve the dukkha is not going to help unless you can help the person resolve his craving. You tell the fella, the pain will go away. The pain will go away. And the fella wait for the pain to go away. But don't know why, the pain after you promise so long still doesn't go away. Of course it doesn't go away. You tell the fella the pain will go away, he's going to crave for the pain to go away. Thanks to you, he's got more craving. You see the complete irony of it all? So you have to first resolve this person's chasing for something. Okay, the faith that we can fix the mind so that it no longer experiences dukkha. Buddha said, craving can cease. Then the question is, do you believe him? Do you believe him and believe that you are able to have a state of mind where craving doesn't arise? Do you believe you can do it? The faith is about that. Okay? The faith has two elements. The faith has two elements. Element one, true or not? You mean if I were to drop craving, dukkha stops? That's element one. Okay? Element two, true or not? Craving can stop. That's the two parts. Okay? Buddha called the state where there is no more arising of craving nirodha. A state of no more arising of craving. And that is the state of nibbana. That's the state of nibbana. You understand that? The Dhamma journey, when we talk about the Dhamma journey, and this is what I need you to just bear in mind, it goes through some steps. if you are a practitioner, if you tell me I am interested in walking this path, and I want to know how to practice, and I need to know how the mind grows, you will actually find yourself and your mind going through certain stages. It's normal. It will go through the stages, okay? So these are the stages. That's AYE. Number one, there will be a state where you begin to understand the nature of dukkha properly. Some of you will protest. Just too polite to make a lot of noise, but you will protest. You say, but we all know dukkha, huh? We all know dukkha. Really? You feel dukkha. You experience dukkha, but you don't know dukkha. If you know dukkha, then you will begin to see dukkha with a certain detachment. But we get very caught up by the sensations of unpleasantness. We all get caught up by, I repeat, sensations of unpleasantness. Dukkha is unpleasant. So you get spinning away with the sensation of pain, of whatever negativities that you may experience. That's not understanding the nature of dukkha. What do I mean by understanding the nature of dukkha? Buddha talked about the following. Number one, he said the organic processes of life, the biological processes of life, contains within the biological processes of life dukkha, the seeds of dukkha. Meaning to say, the process of childbirth is dukkha, birth, both for mother and child. The process of growing up is dukkha. The process of being sick is dukkha. And the process of dying and death is dukkha. You tell me you know dukkha. When was the last time you thought of death? Before you attended the wake. When was the last time you actually seriously thought about death? And the odds are, you will go, choy. Don't say. Already don't want to say. Already rejecting it. How many of us dye our hair here? Dye our hair. Hide the evidence. Oh, not color. Color our hair. Not dye our hair. Hide the evidence of aging. A lot of us. Since I'm not seeing many white hair, a lot of us. Exactly. How many of us actually welcome the baby to the world? Cheers. Without kind of realizing that the process was actually hell. Difficult, very tough. Okay, that's just one element of it. Basically, what you need to do is just stare at the process, stare at the condition, stare at what was happening, and just understand it to be, this is dukkha. That's all. This is dukkha. Then the second element is the emotional attachments. No man's an island. We all need to be with people. But there are people we like, and there are people we don't like. And both brings dukkha, depending on the circumstances. So, again, the Buddha says, when you're with someone you like, you're away from someone you like, you experience dukkha. When you're with someone you don't like, you experience dukkha. In short, the 5 aggregates of grasping is dukkha. What is this 5 aggregates of grasping, which I will explore at length subsequently, not at this lecture, but to just sum it up very shortly for you, is this. We, individual, us, our instinct is to hold on to things. We hold on to everything, our feelings, contacts, impressions, thoughts, experiences, all mental, physical experiences. Our instinct is to grab and hold. We hold it. The very fact that you do that, there is in it dukkha. That's all. That's all he's saying. In it, that's dukkha. You want to walk this path, the very first step, and this is just the first step. The very first step is you've got to understand this concept properly. Because if you don't understand it properly, what's the incentive for you to practice? If you don't see dukkha in daily life, you don't realize that you are in pain, then what? You wait until you're dying, then you, I better go and practice it. I'm now feeling very dukkha, but I'm dying. It's like that. You have to start seeing it already. Which means to say, every time you say goodbye to somebody at the airport, then you're very sad, right? Oh, go home, practice meditation a bit. Dukkha, right? That's dukkha. You see what I'm saying? I can't stand his face, I better go practice meditation a bit. Dukkha. Every little step down to, literally down to, you didn't manage to eat your char kway teow. Or whatever you like. I don't know what you like. Down to that level of resolution, at the point when you got irritated, immediately you watch your mind. This is dukkha. And you have to identify it. You actually have to say, this is dukkha. So that you are reminded again and again, the very fabrics of life sewn into it is all these experiences of unpleasantness. Just experiences. Then somebody might say, oh, so dukkha. It's true, it's very dukkha. I'm only pointing out the obvious since you missed it. But it's okay, we got step 2. Okay? You start to realize that there is a need for you to be able to reduce. It's very difficult to cut. But you start by reducing, moderating. The word is moderating, wanting, preferences. Know when it arises. Know when preferences arise in your mind. So when you know that it is coming up, you ask yourself, can you moderate that? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Because it matters too much, you can't. But most times, it shouldn't matter so much. So you have a pegging order. Most time you would have priorities. Some things matter so much, you can't let go. Some things don't matter that much, you start to say, it's okay. You don't do that, you know what will happen? You will go crazy with pain. You will spin crazy with pain. If you're one of those type of people with no sense of priorities, everything is important. The moment I know it's important, if you are one of those type, how come you're here? You're not like treating some mental distress. You see what I'm saying? I'm sure you will find people of this nature. They are caught up in everything. Everything is important, craving for everything. It's very dukkha. So in our own life, we learn to moderate. Up to a point when you learn to let go. This process takes a long time, but it works, okay? When you are finally able to let go a little bit, my expectations are very low. Just a little bit of moderation, just a little bit. You will say something to the effect, okay lah, never mind lah. Just that little bit, you will taste relief. Just a little bit, and you will taste relief. You have to see that connection in daily life. I'm not even talking about meditation. I'm talking about daily life. If you don't see this connection, you are not seeing first, second, third noble truths. They are called the noble truths by the Buddha, not by me or you. It's by the Buddha. When you realize the significance of these noble truths, then you will realize that, It is indeed noble. Noble. The word is noble in our today's lingo means solid. Solid truths. In the old days, they call it Arya, Satya. Okay? Arya, noble, Satya, truth. So for whatever small way, in whatever small way you are able to just let it go a little bit. I'll give you an example what I mean. Suppose, let's say, you are nagging someone. You're nagging someone, okay? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? You nag, 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 nag. Suddenly, you have one moment of wisdom. And you say, heck, it's okay. Never mind, you say. At that moment, when you say, never mind lah, you suddenly feel better. Have you noticed that? Or have you never done it before? Have you noticed that? That at that one moment when you say it's okay, forget it, just forget it, it's okay. At that one moment when you're able to say it, you actually felt better. Have you noticed that? What do you think that was? Your mind having a moment of relaxation. That is first, second, and third noble truths. At work, before your very eyes. And you are not even at that moment seriously thinking about the practice. Imagine if you are truly, truly practicing, truly learning it, truly learning the skill. Then the letting go is not this kind of no standard one. This is no standard. The letting go will be a way more advanced, more finesse, you know? Okay. If you were to do this, right, and you truly are able to let go of craving, and you start to be able to taste relief, the word is relief, feel better and better, a time will come when even in daily life, as you are wandering through your daily life, you would actually feel good. You don't feel dukkha. Right now, I did the experiment with you, which none of you appreciated, but I did the experiment with you earlier about just watch your mind, do nothing, what do you feel? A bit not so good, right? If you are able to train your mind to be accepting, train the mind to be able to just let things be, you will find that in a moment of quiet, the mind is actually quiet. You can sit quietly and save a lot of electricity on your telephone because you don't have to keep charging it up because you need to check the phone all the time. You will feel quite blissful, okay? So this Dhamma journey has two parts to it. One is the knowledge that you glean as you walk. It's knowledge. This is first noble truth, second noble truth, third noble truth, fourth. No, that's not fourth. First, second, and third. And this is fourth. You are developing the skill to be able to get to this state, unconditioned bliss. Developing the skills to be able to experience these things properly, developing the process of developing the skill is called the path, the practice. And as you start to understand the path better, and you understand the knowledge, these things better, you will start to see the correlation between why you have to do certain things, why the Eightfold Path is like that, why you have to do all those things. And as you do those things, how it is changing your mind, your understanding of the world, your priorities, the way you respond to the world, and so on and so forth. Okay? What are the skills? Now, I talk about the skills that the practitioner must develop. What are the skills that the practitioner must develop? First, true or false? Okay, this one got marks on. You get stars if you get the answers right. Normal state of mind can't see the above 2 points, dukkha and the way out, true or false? Not sure. How many say not sure? You got a normal state of mind, can you see dukkha and the way out? No. Actually, when we say dukkha and the way out, is this. Dukkha you can see, because dukkha you can experience. But you are caught. What will happen is when you are experiencing dukkha, you will go, It's like a roller coaster ride with no brakes. And you can't get off. This roller coaster ride has no driver, no brakes. You are supposed to control it, and you have no clue how to control it. So the result of which is you spin. Relentlessly. I love big words. Relentlessly. You will just spin and go crazy. Some of you feel like you're drowning in a sea of dukkha. Very drama, very drama. But then it depends on how bad you are experiencing, right? If you're experiencing very badly, you will feel that you're suffocating under the weight of the world. But some of you are more measured, more moderate. You think that, no, it's okay, it's just a small thing. But even then, you don't know how to get out. So normal state of mind can't do it. The skill that the practitioner has to develop is, sorry, I jumped the gun. If you can't understand dukkha, you see, normal state of mind cannot see dukkha. If you can't even see the dukkha properly, you can't see craving. You experience craving, but you don't see it detachedly. And if you don't see it detachedly, how are you supposed to let it go? That is the reason why most of us talk about, I will be vegetarian, then it doesn't work. So most of us will talk about, I'm not going to quarrel with this person, I'm going to forgive the person, then it doesn't work. Most of us say things we don't mean. Meaning to say we say we want to achieve that, but we couldn't. Most of us, how many of you promise to do meditation every day 1 hour? How many of you? But it doesn't work. Why does it happen? Because we don't know how to contain craving. Cannot see, cannot understand, cannot realize how to intuitively understand Dhamma. Can you see the connection? I repeat the connection to you. You have to see dukkha. You have to understand craving. You have to learn to let go. And then you see Dhamma. Okay? You have to understand what's dukkha. You have to see it properly. You have to understand craving, nature of craving. You have to learn how to let go that craving. Let go. The operative word is letting go of craving. And then you experience Dhamma. If you can't let go of the craving, there is no seeing Dhamma. Okay? And to be able to achieve this, you need a particular state of mind. What is this state?